get out your head and you just start taking action.
And he opened up the glove department and he like, yeah, I just closed the deal. Like, grabbed the cash out of there. And when I seen it, it was like I was locked in. I'm like, I'm doing real estate.
I was a follower. I wasn't a leader. And it hurt, like, to tell yourself the truth.
Everyone, welcome to episode 6. This is the first time I'm having an entire family on the episode. So let's go down the line. Everyone introduce themselves to the camera.
Beyond Wynn, I'm the father.
Eric Wynn.
Brian Wynn, I'm the son.
All right, I appreciate you guys doing this. Honestly, I know it was super last minute, but the fact that you guys made it is huge to me.
Yep. Appreciate
Welcome.
you having us.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we're going to talk about a few things today. Originally, this was supposed to be with Beyond, and he told me his sons were coming on, so I was cool with it. But first things first, I need to give you a compliment. A lot of the people in Cleveland, they love your social media. They see you all the time. So just the fact that you were out there, you were one of the first guys I thought I should reach out to for the podcast. But two, for all the people out there, have you always been in the status you're in right now, or were there times where you weren't where you're at?
I was a lot of times where I wasn't where I am. I think that in order to get anywhere, you just got to be consistent. Be consistent, be yourself, and just, continue to put those activities on repeat. And then one day you wake up and then it's overnight success.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it wasn't always like this.
No, hell no. No, I didn't always feel this confident. But that came with actually getting to the place where you get out your head and you just start taking action. Because of the best lessons in life, they're going to come from the actions that you take. And as you continue to take actions, you learn. You learn like, okay, it's really not that scary, or it's not that risky. It's a learning and growing process. So as I started to take more actions and reflect on the actions and learn, it built my confidence. And so now it's like, okay, it's nothing to fear. Like, it's nothing to fear. Like, we all gonna die. And so once we get past that, it's like, what else is it? Like, what is it to be afraid of? We all gonna die, right? So our job is to, while we here, while we alive, our job is to demonstrate our genius, like whatever that is, like that, the gift that God gave all of us, like unwrap that thing, live in that every day, like being focused on bringing your vision to life, your ideas to life, like focus on that. That's our assignment. Like, find out what the assignment is and, go hard on that.
So did you always know what the right action was to take? Because for those that aren't out there, like, obviously you've had a very different life from start to finish. So where did it start where you were just taking action? And then how has it led to where you're at now?
So I was taking the wrong actions when I started out, because the actions I was taking at the time. So growing up, I would just start from the beginning. So growing up, a single parent home, like my father wasn't there. I just heard stories about him. I think I met him when I was 20-something years old. So he wasn't there. So growing up, it was always a void there, because I would see other kids with their father, but my father's not there. So that was always on my mind. Two, my mother, she had issues that she had never dealt with in her childhood. So those the things that she didn't deal with, her trauma and pain, like, it would get taken out on me and my sister. So I was abused at home, bullied at school. So it was like dealing with all of these things and not really understanding why. Because in school, I was in one of the smartest classes in elementary school. But then I got kicked out because I wasn't getting the support at home, and I was dealing with the things I was dealing with at home. So I gave up in school. And so then that took me to look for love in the streets. So that's why I started, getting into the gang activities, selling drugs, because I felt like, okay, those people love me, so I was looking for acceptance.
It was kind of like
went to the
community.
streets. For sure.
So that was community number one.
Right.
And so when that happened, like, how did you know it was wrong at the time, or were you just like, this is community, so I'll take it?
Did I know it was wrong? I don't think I was conscious of that at the time. I was looking for something that I wasn't getting at home. It was something missing. And so I was looking for something to kind of fill the void. And I think that I was, it's like being an actor in a movie, right? So I think I felt like I was an actor playing this role that never lined up with my heart. Like, selling drugs never lined up with my heart. Like, destroying my community never lined up with my heart. Hurting people in the streets, like physically, and being in these different, that never lined up with my heart. It was like I was playing a role, and I was doing things to fill a void, and to try to cover up the hurt that, you know, I never had faced or talked about, you know, from growing up. And then, you know, when I was in prison one time, I started to think about it, because, okay, you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't going nowhere. You're going to be here for a minute. And so I started to reflect on my life, and it's like gangs, drugs, like I was a follower. I wasn't a leader. And it hurt, like, to tell yourself the truth. But when you're telling yourself the truth, that's the only way you can elevate to the next level. So I looked in the mirror, like, you was a follower. Like, because if those things didn't line up with your heart, selling drugs, being in gang, you was just following. Like, so I was following, wanting to be accepted because I was lost. And so once I started to reflect and think about, like, and tap into, like, who are you? Like, you're not gangster. Like, you know, like, you willing to do whatever's necessary if it's necessary, but that's not you. Like, to, you know, hurt people, and it's like, no. So I don't have to do that. So, you know, around that time, I started to really start to face the things that hurt me, the things I was trying to, you know, get away from, stay action-packed. And
did you decide to work on that, or is there like a moment where someone was like, hey, Beyond, like, you need to get this shit together?
No, I decided to do that. Like, I decided to do that. I decided that I wanted something different from life, because I knew that it was something better. So I started to read books and do different things like that. And I started to actually implement the things that I was reading in books, like, because where I was at, I knew that it wasn't working, and it was a feeling associated with it that I didn't like. And so I wanted a different feeling. So I knew that I had to do something different. So I started to implement the things that I would read in books, like positive thoughts and affirmations. Before that, I wasn't thinking about positive thoughts, affirmation, create a vision board.
You never thought about that.
When what?
When you were selling, you never had those thoughts?
No, positive thoughts, no, not at all. I wanted to get paid by all means necessary.
Yeah.
That's it.
So was that a hard part of it, was I'm making money and I know this is happening, but kind of having to accept that, hey, that might not happen immediately if I make a different life choice?
So run the question back.
So when you're in a situation where you're selling, you're making the money, is that the hardest part of stepping away? Or is it kind of like, 'cause I heard you say on another podcast where you knew you had a high level of income you expected, and real estate was a thing that served that?
Right. So yes, it was kind of hard to step away. But when I asked myself a couple questions, it made it easier for me to step away. And so the questions were this. Again, once I started to work on myself, my personal development, and pay attention to how I was feeling and the activities that I was involved in, and I started to look at, when I looked at drug dealing, it's like, oh, that don't line up with who I say I am. So are you a liar? And then if you can only sell drugs, you're a drug dealer. You're not a true hustler. So are you a drug dealer or are you a hustler? And I'm in the mirror, I'm like, no, I'm a hustler. And so those two things, like destroying my community and then blaming it on the white man, the white man and the system, they're like, no, you part of the problem. You're destroying your own community. And if you're a hustler, you can hustle anything, not just drugs. So those two questions changed the course of my life, period.
Do you remember what the first book you read was that got you thinking different?
The first book I read that got me thinking different was Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon.
Yep. That was the first one.
What about you two? What's the first book you read that actually made you kind of go, okay, I like this, I need to implement it?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yep, exact same thing.
And did you recommend that to them?
Yes.
Yep.
So when he recommended that, were you guys like, oh, he's making me read a book? Or were you kind of like, I'm open-minded too, I'll read it?
Yeah, no, I didn't read it at first. But over time, I kept hearing my friends talk about it and stuff like that. So I'm like, let me pick this up and see, you know, what they talking about. And then I think our property manager at the time, he always talked about the book and how some of the stuff that he learned, like, changed the course of his life. That's when I started to take it serious.
And when you hear people say that, do you kind of think it's bullshit where you're like, oh, he read a book and that changed things? Or
No, I don't think so. Because I think, like, sometimes, like, the ideas and the thoughts that you have, like, after reading certain stuff, like, even if it's like a self-reflection, like the things that you come up with, I know it's powerful. So, you know, you can read something and get a whole different outlook as opposed to me reading it. You know, what the things I take from it, like, I could demonstrate those. So I think that's the main thing. Like, the stuff you read, not just reading it just to read, but to implement those things into your life.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people I know, they kind of get in that analysis paralysis where they might read 10 books, but they didn't implement the first chapter of the first one. So, like, as you went through, how did you kind of know, okay, I read one book, I need to do this thing? And, like, how did you kind of track the balance of not getting over in the thinking part of it?
For me, reading, what I understood early on is, and as I observed people, because I'm always observing people, and I observe, you know, like, how I feel when I'm doing certain things. So one thing I realized early on is people will say that they read a bunch of books, but when I looked at their life didn't show any trace of them reading no books. So I didn't want to be like them. So I started to implement things that I read in the book. I started to implement those things in my life before I would go to another book. Because if you read 100 books, you don't have to tell me that you read 100 books. Your life will be a reflection of the 100 books that you read. And then two, when you reading books, when you filling yourself with with information, whether it's financial information, personal development, it's a feeling associated with it. So I'm addicted to that feeling. It feels right, and it keeps me going in that direction with continuing to read. When I don't read or listen, it feels like it's a disconnect, and so I got to stay connected. So I'm constantly reading and taking the information and then implementing those things as well.
Okay, so you didn't go to college, right?
No, I dropped out in the 9th grade.
Did either of you go to college?
I went to Kent State.
Okay. What about you?
I went to college for a semester.
So for a lot of people that follow me are in that 20 to 30-year-old range. Like, do you think college is worth it, or if you read the books and implement it, that's more powerful?
My take is you can read the books and implement it is more powerful. I think that nowadays you got like YouTube, Instagram, and things like that you can tap into. Like if you want to be a doctor, lawyer, things like that, I think you should go to college. But besides that, I think you can, start implementing these things and you have better results. So I got friends that actually went to college that have, poor jobs. Like they're not really making, $50,000 a year, $70,000 a year. Then you got me. I didn't finish college, but
when did you drop out? How far are you?
I think my second year. Yeah, it was like the winter was approaching. I seen my dad like flipping real estate. My mom wanted me to stay in school, but my dad was like, if this is something you want to do, just do it. And I was like contemplating, like, all right, I'm gonna just leave my dorm, just pack everything and just leave in the middle of the semester. So I went back and forth with the decision for a while. He was like, if that's what you want to do it. My mom pissed off, got in my car one day, just packed everything and left. And that was it.
Yeah, so I dropped out with 1 year left. It was Kent State too.
Oh.
And the thing that actually got me to decide like I can't do this anymore was I got my first client, my social media company, and then I had a teacher call me at 9 o'clock at night and tell me I didn't do my homework. And that he could lose his job if I didn't do my part of the assignment. And so what hit me was the school was getting paid by these big companies to have us do their research, and then we were paying to do the work as part of my tuition. And when I had that kind of click in my head, I literally logged out of my Kent State email, changed the password with my eyes looking this way, and called it.
Nice.
Because I knew like that if I didn't leave then, I wasn't going to leave.
Did your parents agree with the decision?
They didn't know for 6 months. So when that happened, one of the deals that my dad gave was, if you're going to school, I'll help cover half your rent. And all I did was I called him one night and said, you're done sending that money. This is a done deal. And at that time, I didn't pay myself anything for the business. So I would DoorDash every night of the week, and I was DMing business owners in between orders. So I'm saying, hey, we can help your social media as I'm getting orders, dropping food off to people. And then finally, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was probably at like the $5,000-6,000 a month area where it was more than a job, but it wasn't like freedom money. And I started self-sabotaging. So I would start getting an order from like Wingstop. And if that thing wasn't ready, the second I walked in, I'd like, oh, I can't drop the order. And if you're on DoorDash and you get below a certain ranking, they'll kick you off forever. And so I'm at the golf course with my dad telling him like, hey, like, I don't think I can keep doing this DoorDash. I need to go all in on my business. I get an email from DoorDash's corporate that I can never drive again. And that it's attached to my social security number. And I was like, this is my sign. I got to go all in.
Yep. Congrats.
So, yeah, I appreciate that.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've said that too. So
Nice.
that's out on the podcast. But the reason I asked the question about the school is I know a lot of my friends, they're very stuck in that safe job. Like you're talking about. So like, do you have conversation with those guys, or are you kind of like the leader in your group where they can see you as a resource, or do a lot of them seem stuck?
I think I've had a lot of conversations over the years. Now I'm at the point where I'm no longer having conversations because like I try to pour into people, but when you don't see the vision, it's nothing that I can do. So now a lot of those people like 3-4 years ago where it's like, nah, I'm gonna stay at my job, this and that. Now I want to say, hey, how do I get my credit together? How do I invest in real estate? How much is your father's mentorship? So now they start to come back around. Yeah. And then it's actually like, I think it'll drag you down sometime, like trying to pull people up that don't understand. It's like, I'm not telling you to quit your job, but hey, invest a couple dollars over here, fix your credit, get some business funding.
It's almost like they have to taste a little bit of it first to even know it's worth it.
Yep.
And we were talking about that before the podcast. Like, how important do you think it is for people to actually see someone else succeeding before they take that leap?
How important?
Like, did you have someone you saw succeeding in real estate, or was it kind of like, oh, this has just seemed like the right thing to do?
For me, I got into real estate for the money. It was the closest thing to the money that I was making in the streets. That's why I chose real estate initially.
Yeah.
So it was my plan A, B, C, and D. I was done, with the streets, and I was going to make it work. So it wasn't I'm about to get my feet wet. It's like, no, I'm all in.
So like, that's a huge concept that I personally kind of had to like inflict on myself, was like, you got to have your back against the wall. Do you think people can kind of dip a toe in, or is there a moment where they have to decide I'm all in if they actually want to hit their full potential?
You got to go all in. I think with anything, when you want to reach your fullest potential, live your best life, live life on your terms, like, you got to go all in on something. Like, you got to go all in. That's the only way you're going to get the return that you want. When you go all in, you sleep, eat, and breathe it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I'm curious because the dynamic here is interesting. Like, I have a dad so he was the first one in our family line to retire. He worked a corporate job. He was a programmer. So he retired in his 50s, and that was like a record in our family. But no one ever had entrepreneurial status, time freedom, or anything like that. So, like, what was it like for you two to grow up with him as your dad? Like, did you always like what he was doing, or was it like some days and like, oh my God, we're looking at another house?
Me personally, I used to dabble in a lot of other things. I worked at a job from the time I was 15 all the way up until 22, and I'm 29 now. So 7 years I've been, entrepreneurial, the whole entrepreneurial thing. But growing up, it was just like you kind of want to steer and do your own thing, but at the end of the day, it's like, what really makes sense. So when I finally came around, and I think we closed our first deal, it kind of changed my perspective on everything, because I still was 1 foot in, 1 foot out, even, when we first started. But like you said before, do people have to like really taste it or see somebody do it? No, I think you have to experience it for yourself. And that's what makes somebody, jump all the way in and, go full-fledged with things.
Because it's the first time they can confirm, like, I can do it.
Yeah.
You can see everyone else do it and be like, that's cool, but
you could Google
don't
somebody
actually
doing
know.
anything. I mean, but that's all about what you want to do. And, you seeing yourself actually accomplish something.
For me, I think it was always something that I wanted to do, like seeing him do it as a kid. But as a kid, I would rather be outside. So when he was taking me to these properties, walking through, pointing out numbers and stuff like that, I thought it was cool and fun. But it's like, hey, before the sun go down, like, I want to go play outside. Then one day, I think he picked me up. I don't know where he was at, but I remember being in a Key Bank parking lot on Buckeye, and he opened up like the glove department, and he like, yeah, I just closed the deal. I grabbed the cash out of there. And when I seen it, it's like I was locked in. I'm like, I'm doing real estate. And I'm doing nothing else. And I used to tell my teachers in high school, they're like, yeah, you should do this. I'm like, I'm doing real estate. They're like, you should apply for college. I'm like, I'm doing real estate. And the only reason I went to college was because of my girlfriend at the time. So I was always stuck on real estate after seeing it growing up.
So so you were at Kent State for 2 years. Were you on main campus?
Yep.
Yeah. So like, what did it feel like while you were there? Were you like, just kind of like, you knew you were wasting your time, or?
No, initially I was just there for the experience. So when she went to college and I used to be there, I'm like, it's like a good experience, like high school on steroids. So I'm like, I want to test this out, like live on my own, go to, the different parties and stuff like that. So I'm like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to just try it out. So I did that for like a year and a half, 2 years.
So when people say college experience, they mean partying, right? For everyone listening.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So let's be clear.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like everybody should go get the experience, at least for a year or a semester or something like that, even if you don't want to go through with it. It was a great experience. I met some of my best friends there.
Yeah, that was like the people there were the experience, like the people you met. And what was hard, and I don't really talk about this, but my first job in social media was for Kent State. So I actually worked for the university. And so part of that was when all the parents and everyone had to come, and how you sit in the main room and then some guy tells you how to make college worth it, I had to do that. And so at the time I already had a couple paid ads jobs. So I kind of saw the entrepreneurial world, but I still had a job. And I had this day where I realized a parent asked me in the crowd, how do we make the most of the money we're investing? I said, join a fraternity, join a club, get an internship off campus. And as I'm listing this off, I realized nothing I said was go to class. And so then I like kind of paused during the speech and I was like, wow, like I'm kind of pyramid scheming this whole thing right now. And so I never got asked to speak again after that. But to what you said, I think that's something a lot of people that are younger, like I know a lot of kids now, especially after COVID, they aren't thinking about college the way you and I saw it. It was kind of this like guaranteed, I want to go party, meet people. But I think a lot of kids now are kind of looking twice at it because it's not the same social environment.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. So with all of that, so you kind of made your transition out. What was that first period like where you're like, man, I dropped out of college? Like, was it kind of shameful? Like, were you embarrassed by it? Or is it like, I'm going laser focused now, all on what I want to do?
I don't think I was embarrassed by it because, like, where we come from, a lot of people drop out in high school. So, you know, I mean, it was an accomplishment to go to college. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think that was a thing at the time. But, yeah, it took me a while. Like, I got into, like, being an agent, get my real estate license. I think I had failed the test, like, twice. So it was, like, a transition period for about, like, a year and a half. Like, I would smoke weed, drink, different things like that until I, like, figured it out. Started project managing with him, you know, working on projects and stuff like that. Then from there, like once I seen it, like I actually started doing the work myself. It was history after that.
Yeah. And so with all the habits and everything, like what are some of the things that aren't business related that you guys do to stay sharp? Like I know you post a lot about like the lifting. Do you think that's important for people if they're gonna be entrepreneurs to like take care of their body too?
Oh, absolutely. Like because when you take care of your body, it's a feeling associated with when you're working out. Like it's like that relationship with your body. Your body, like like you getting along. You know, y'all getting along, y'all in rhythm, you feel good. And when you feel good, like you operate good in life. So I think those things go together. It's like not in shape. It's a feeling associated with that. Like when you're not in the shape that you know you should be in, and then you're lazy. So that don't like being successful and longevity, like being fit, that it go hand in hand.
Yeah. Did you stop the party life as you left college, or is that something where you still kind of do that from time to time? Because I know for me, like, especially being in fraternity, it was very hard to not do that, especially when I started a business, because I'm now saying no every Saturday. No, I'm staying and I'm watching YouTube, and they're like, this guy's crazy.
Right. You know, I actually, like, I turned it off one day. Like, certain things, like, when I set my mind to do it, like, I could just turn it off, like, whether it's weed, women, alcohol, anything like that. When I set my mind on it, like, and I think about it, like, having them deep conversations with yourself, like I can just cut it off. So it really wasn't that hard for me.
Yeah, a lot of people ask me, because I haven't drank in probably 3 years, and it's not like some AA thing where I like don't do it. But there was a moment where there was a huge party happening, and this is like right when I started my business, and I was invited there, and I didn't go. But the next day I saw a couple guys there, and they're like, bro, that was amazing last night. I had so much fun with you. And I was like, no one even remembered that I didn't show up to that. And that was my freedom point to just like, I don't have to keep doing that. And I kind of went all in on, I'm just gonna be business mode now.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. Is like, you're not missing out on nothing. Like parties only get better. Like once you like put your foot on the ground to actually, you know, get into your career or whatever. All right, we can go party in Miami. We can go overseas. So it was like, I never felt like I was missing nothing.
Yeah. So like for you personally, as you kind of started going through the process of I'm making some money in real estate, I'm making more money in real estate. How have you kept the same hunger, or have you had dips where maybe you aren't as hungry and you don't want to hustle as hard as you were at one point?
Oh yeah. So I never make mistakes. I'm driven every day. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Like, no, that's a lie. Like that's la la land. Like for people that, you know, to say that. But I have experienced multiple times where I get stagnant. Like I take my foot off the gas. I celebrate too long. So I've experienced that multiple times. But what keeps me in the game, a couple of things keep me in the game. One is leading by example. Like, you know, I was just talking to my mentees last night about having a why. And I was like, when I first heard that, I thought it was soft, right? But I'm like, it's soft. I don't need to have it. Why? You just get paid. Like, do what it takes to get paid. But now I understand the importance of having a why. Because for me, it's like, it's my kids. Like being that example. So no matter what happened when, you know, my expiration date, you know, the coach retires my jersey, my kids will never be able to unsee the things I've done, the things we've done together, ever. They'll never be able to unsee that. So when it comes to, you know, being committed in life, like showing up, being physically fit, you know, having a successful business, it's like, for me, it's a must. Like, that's the best thing. that I could do to show them. Like, to me, that's legacy. If something happened to me, they're going to continue to do the things that we've done. They're going to continue to run the plays that we ran. When they had kids, they're going to teach their kids the same thing. To me, that's legacy.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I knew a lot of kids growing up where dad had money and the kids are not doing well right now. I'll be straight up about that. So, like, how did you manage being a dad that wanted to almost like teach them how to fish and not give them the fish? If that makes sense.
Because exactly what you just said. So growing up, I seen a few people that I grew up with where their parents had businesses and a bunch of assets and different things like that, and then they left it to the kids. Parents died, left it to the kids. Every last one of those people, they went broke, like in 5 years or less. They sold all the assets, they partied, they may have started with 10 friends, but when they got the money and the businesses, the whole neighborhood was their friends until all the money was gone. So the kids were never equipped to be able to run a business, be able to handle money, multiply money, reinvest. They had no understanding, and they wanted no parts of whatever the business was that their mother or father may have had. So by me seeing that, I was like, I'm not going to just be talking about legacy or building something special for my kids because it sounds good. On social media, most people do stuff and they saying stuff that sound good. So we got these buzzwords in our community, legacy and generational wealth. Well, everybody that I just mentioned, all those situations, like when the parents left, the legacy died right there. The generational wealth, it died right there. So for me, I said the best way, when I looked at that, I was like, the best way for me to have generational wealth, legacy, is for me to actually run these plays with my kids so they learn it hands-on. Because if they not interested now, if I die and I leave and I built something for them and gave it to them, but they not interested while I'm alive to run plays, to manage their money better, to buy properties. If they not interested now, if something happened to me, what they gonna do when I leave them all my stuff?
That's like the concept I've heard. It's like too much potential energy in science. It can hurt you. It's like the same thing with weight. If you give someone who doesn't know how to manage money, they're just going to lose it. Same with weight. If you can't squat and someone puts 315 on your back, you're going to have a spine injury.
It's a wrap.
Yeah. And so that makes sense. But I think it's like from YouTube's perspective, like, did you kind of know my dad's different with how he's talking to me? Or did you have friends where it's like, hey, I think you're getting something different at the dinner table?
You could tell by everybody else around you. I mean, because it's like watching a child grow up sometimes and you can't like see the growth, but like everybody else who's coming around, hey, he got big. Like, so it's like one of those things. Like, sometimes it's right in front of us, but we don't hear it until somebody else say it or something. But it's just one of those things because it's right in front of us. But the outside crowd usually shows us like, all right, your dad different. Like, everything is different about, what we have going on.
Yeah. So like where you guys are at now. So like obviously he kind of raised you, understand the real estate, see what I'm doing. How have you ventured out to where, yeah, I still do deals with dad, but have you made your own business ventures that are maybe his lessons, but your own move?
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. Talk about some of those. I'm curious.
Me personally, like I said, when I was 22 was when I had my last job. I basically ventured off and started an iPhone business. It's not real estate, but it's entrepreneurial. And it was always one of those things that he stood on and telling us like, it's something inside of us that's different to where, we can't go to a job and just listen to people and let that be the narrative. Like, so it never was, at the forefront of my mind, like keep a job. No, it was always how I'm gonna get out of this job. So once I finally found my way out, I just ran with it. And it ended up working by me just having, like you said, back against the wall. I had bills coming up and I learned off of YouTube how to fix iPhones.
So it was an iPhone repair business.
Yes. Yep.
You still do that?
No, I actually retired the business because I don't think it's safe in Cleveland to be meeting up with people, handing money and different things like that back and forth. So it's not worth my my safety or my time now. But it's still a great business for somebody else to do.
Like, do you think that was a necessary step in the process, though?
What, stepping back from it?
Yeah, just having the iPhone business, even if you don't do it now.
Yeah. It taught me how to manage people, myself, my time. Do inventory. I was getting my stock from overseas in China. Started out in America, ended up in China. They were inviting me to come over to China where they make the screens and the batteries and stuff.
You got to see all that?
Yeah. So it's like now I'm just like, that's confirmation. Like anything is possible. Like, to the point where I'm talking to people overseas to supply me with something from, fixing iPhone screens. Shit I learned off YouTube.
Is it true that iPhones really only cost $10 to make?
Or
is that close, you think?
If you source everything from overseas, but by the time you're done paying import taxes, it'll be what you.
But
what
raw
you
product over there.
If you went over to Shenzhen, Hong Kong, you could build an iPhone for probably about $10, $15.
And did you have to learn a little bit of Mandarin so they didn't finesse you or not?
Oh, no. So basically, you get on an app and it translates it for you. And most of them, they want you as a customer, so they know English.
Yeah.
Yeah, they know English.
That's crazy. And so what was the next evolution for you after that?
After that was actually proving to myself that I didn't need a job. So, I dipped and dabbled in a couple other things like stocks, sports betting here and there. But the most successful thing was when he brought an idea back to me from an event that they went to together. So he jumped off the porch before me, basically. So he started doing real estate before me, but me and him still hanging out every day. So you can imagine us having our conversations at the end of the day and what his conversation looked like and what mine looked like.
Yeah.
So eventually we got to a point where it was like, okay, he got some information that he felt like was gold. And he shared it with me and he said, I feel like this is something we can grow from. I already had my entrepreneurial background from what I was doing. He had already dabbled in real estate, here and there. And it was just like something we both thought that we could bring, benefits to the table.
And what is that? Can you guys talk about
wholesaling?
Wholesaling?
Yep, wholesaling real estate.
Okay, so for people who don't know what wholesaling is, because it's kind of like this word no one wants to say, what is wholesaling?
You basically middlemaning the sale of a property. So you basically find a distressed property, or it could just be a property that has a motivated seller, and you end up basically selling that property to somebody else. Not the property, but you're selling the contract, the rights to buy that property.
Yeah. So you were doing that first?
No, I wasn't doing wholesaling first. The truth, like, I think he took me to an event in Dallas, Texas, like a mastermind or something like that. And everybody was talking about wholesaling. Then something went off in my head. I'm like, I don't need the money. All I need is like marketing and like cold callers. So I took the information back to my brother. We came up with a plan. We hired our friends to, cold call and stuff for us. And then it just went from there.
How do you hire your friends to cold call for you?
Honestly, my friend, like, he was asking me about the trip, and I was telling him, and I'm like, I'm basically trying to figure this out. And he come from a sales background, like selling cars and insurance and stuff. He said, I'm in between jobs. He said, I'm going to come over and I'm going to make calls with y'all. And the truth is, we in a bed, like the first day we supposed to make calls, we're in a bed. He buzzing at our apartment every day. Hey, I'm downstairs, let's make calls. And that went on for about a month.
He used to be mad that he used to be coming
he
on
show
time
up every day.
You need to say sorry.
Hey, look, listen. He used to pull up with his kale and berries every day at the time we were supposed to meet, and we used to be like, this dude at the door again. It's time to go sit on the floor.
Make calls. We make calls, then go to the gym. It was like we was just hanging out all day.
Yep.
And that's how our business picked up. It took us about 4 months to like really get momentum. Then after that, like, we was closing deals like every week.
And why didn't you quit? It took 4 months.
You said, why didn't we quit? Because I knew that it worked, but we just had to tweak the process. So we had like bad phone numbers, bad data, different things like that. So it was trial and error. And I'm just one of those people, like, I'm not going to quit. Like, I'm going to just figure it out. Like, even if it, like, until it's like, all right, this cannot work. But I'm going to exhaust all options until we figure it out.
What was some of the big failures you guys went through that maybe someone else would have quit, but kind of like what you're saying right now, where it's like, this was a failure that hurt and maybe took it on the chin, but it wasn't a reason to stop entirely?
Shit. I can personally say, like, throwing thousands at marketing and lead sources, different things, like just trial and error. We made a fairly decent amount of money, but we also spent a fairly decent amount of money on just like trial and error just to see if shit worked. Because, I mean, you got to risk something to gain something.
How much money do you think that was, ballpark?
Probably about 30 to 40,000. Yeah, we went through a period where we rehired our friends for like a month or two. That didn't work out. We hired some people from overseas. We didn't train them correctly. So all of these things were things that, taught us as we went through, and it's like, now we're here.
I like what you said. I didn't train him correctly. So I got a VA to be my personal assistant like 2 years ago, and I didn't know what to assign to them.
Exactly.
So I was just like basically paying a check to like sit on a Zoom with, and I'm saying VAs don't work. This sucks. And I realized like, oh, I need to like give them.
We didn't work.
Same here. We like our first VA, we was blaming her. Then we thought about it. It was us. But what we did do, we helped her open up a bakery.
Yeah,
so the checks that we were sending her, she opened up a bakery. So we were cool with that. Like, the $5-6 an hour we were paying her, it's like cool. And it made us feel good. It's like, all right, we done threw thousands of dollars at different marketing lists and things like that. This lady, you know, we changed her life. So
What country was she in?
Philippines.
And if you go there, do you go to the bakery, or you guys never been
I've
there?
never been there.
No, we never been there. She actually, she hit me up a while back. This was a little bit after we had shut down like our whole VA thing. And she was telling me that she was trying to come here, and she actually wanted to visit if she came here. But we don't really keep in touch. We're friends on Facebook. But
Yeah, that's how it usually is.
it's just it's pretty cool though.
And so you were licensed, correct?
Yeah, I got licensed. Yeah, I was licensed before I started wholesaling. Yep.
And do you still have your license? Or?
Yeah, I still have them.
So what's your mix of like how much are you doing residential versus how much are you doing on like the more investor side?
So I think it depends. So our wholesale business is like its own separate business. So all those leads and stuff like that, like we source those as wholesale deals, our own fix and flips, you know, things like that. And then as far as like in being a realtor, I don't really use it. Like now I'm using it to list my own properties. He got a lot of mentees and stuff like that need their properties listed. So I'm starting to pick up listings and stuff like that. But I more so use it for like data,
You're not
pulling
helping
comps
first-time
and
home
stuff like
buyers
that.
or anything.
No, hell, I have no interest in helping a first-time home buyer. I'm
You're
not
not
going to
doing
drive you
tours.
to 30 property. You're going to complain about the cabinets, this, and I don't got time to hear it.
Yeah.
Like I could go make calls for 8 hours and make a better check than showing you
Yeah, all the
houses all
properties
day
in
for 30 days for you to complain or this and that.
Yeah. So, and then how do you guys all work together now? Is it like you have some real estate deals you do together, or like you two obviously have a business? So, like, how do you all work together?
Just so basically, well, right now, me and him, we do fix and flips. We do wholesale. We have a clean out business, and I'm missing something.
Project management.
And then we do construction, project management for clients and stuff like that.
So it'll be their own flip. You'll help just manage the crew.
Yep, the crews and stuff like that. So most of the time, we'll come up with a scope of work, give you a time frame. You send us a deposit. We complete that scope of work, send you the pictures, or you can send an inspector out. Then you give us the other half, and then you have a done product, a finished product.
Okay, so one of the biggest complaints I get, because I work with a lot of people in the real estate niche, is it's contractors suck. Contractors suck. Like, have you guys experienced that yourself, or like, how do you work around that?
Oh, we experience it every day. It's just it's part of the business. We say we run an adult daycare, like as a joke. We manage and grown men. There's all type of problems, issues, and stuff like that. But it's what come with the business. So I think with trial and error, you run into the right guys.
Okay, so you've been in it the longest. Have contractors always sucked, or is this like a day and age thing that we're dealing with right now?
Always. Contractors always. Always, when people ask me, they always say, in life is we dealing with human beings. Like that's a part of life. No matter what you do, it involves human beings. So anything that involves human beings, you're gonna have issues. Humans gonna continue to do what humans do. So you just have to learn how to deal with them. So if we're talking about contractors, you need to know how they operate, and you put yourself in a position where you don't lose if they decide that they forgot where the property was at and they never come back. So you got to keep most of the money. You keep most of the money. So if you have to get rid of them, you don't lose. You got enough money to pay somebody else. On the last project I just finished, I had a situation with a contractor, and we kept going back and forth. All of them sound great. Before the job start, they sound great. Then you give them some money, and then the job that's supposed to week at the longest, it turned to 3 weeks, and so I got tired of hearing it, and so I basically called him and told him, "Don't come back, and I'm going to get another estimate, and depending on what the price is for the other estimate, if it's something left, I'll give that to you. But we good, it's no problem. But I'm retiring your jersey. You never playing for this team again."
And is that something? Was it always easy to do that, or did you get screwed over the first time and you're like, "This sucks"?
So, when I first started, like I had to go through that process. Like, so it was like I used to have a bunch of issues. But at the time, when I first started, I wasn't fully committed. I was like, most of the people now, they trying to cut corners and try to cheat the game. And so that's what I did when I first started too. I wanted the cheapest contractors. I wanted the deal on the house. I was the property manager, project manager. I'm picking up contractors, dropping them off. I'm going to Home Depot 4 times a day. And then what happened was, I got burnt out. And then early on, I lost all my properties because I wasn't doing the rehabs properly. I was just focused on the money by all means necessary. So I was putting Band-Aids on everything, let anybody move in. And at the time, you can get 110% refinance. So I would use my own money, and then I would max out the 110%. But mind you, I'm putting Band-Aids on everything, and I let anybody move in. If you got first month, I'll let you move in. So what started to happen was all those Band-Aids started falling off. So you start getting these calls. And so now the rent that you're supposed to get, like all of the rent short because you got to spend all of the rent to put back into the property. Then the tenants stopped paying, and then the real estate market changed. I had just got in, so I wasn't trying to understand the game. I'm just trying to get some money real fast. So I didn't understand that real estate had cycles and the values would go down, and then you could be in a situation where you underwater, basically meaning where, okay, what the mortgage is, the rent don't even cover the mortgage. And so when you have a situation like that with 20 plus properties, the first thing you're going to do is run away from the properties and then blame the tenants, blame the contractors. And so that's what happened. Yeah, I did all that. It was everybody. It wasn't me. I blamed everybody.
It was their fault.
It was their fault. And after I got done whining and complaining and blaming everybody, I realized that in all of those situations, it was one person that was involved in all of those situations. And it was me. It was like I played a starring role. And once I realized that and was man enough to be accountable and accept responsibility for cutting corners, being greedy, being cheap, I started focusing on the solution to fix it. And so I stopped cutting corners. I start putting properties together the way I would if I had to move in it. I hired a property manager so I could cut the money up and let them be experts at what they experts in, and I focus on what I'm an expert, what I want to be an expert in. And then business started to change. Things started to change. I wasn't having that high turnover with tenants. Why? Because I wasn't putting Band-Aids on things. Everything is new. I got a property management company that's vetting tenants out properly.
So it sounds like you almost shifted from valuing money to time.
I wouldn't even say it was time. I don't think I thought that at the time. I can remember vividly, one of the things I was thinking at the time, it was, if you're gonna have properties and you care about human beings, why would you put them in a property that you wouldn't live in? And if you want your money every month, why would you put together a bad product and then you expect to get all your money every month? You can't expect to get all your money every month if you cut corners up front. But if you do it right, the way that you would if you live in it, you can kind of expect to get your money every month. And so I wanted my money every month. So I was like willing to do whatever I needed to do to get my money every month.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the interesting things I'm like learning right now, and I think I still struggle with, is they say the most successful people think of the longest time horizons. And so I think for me, like obviously when I'm starting out and I don't want to DoorDash, it's like I want money today. I want to get paid right now. And actually yesterday, if it's cool with you. And then it got to the point where I had to start thinking like, okay, if I do want to start a family, like if I do want to not be hustle from 6 a.m. to noon or midnight, there's got to be this longer term look. So like, did you guys struggle with that? Because like, how did you kind of look at the time horizon of your goals? Or were you still in that, I'm hungry, I need paid today, and then you had your own evolution?
I think I'm still kind of like in that cycle a little bit. Like if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Like in a way, because it's like I have things that I'm doing or whatever, but it's still like I don't feel like it's nothing. I don't feel like nothing's certain. Like I just don't feel like nothing's certain. So I personally feel like, like I'm still looking for like that long-term security to where I feel like, okay, I could have a big ass family, 10 kids, a big ass ranch and all this stuff.
But not yet.
Yeah, no, just not yet though. But I feel like I'm looking for, like you said, that long-term security.
Yeah. Do you feel
whether
the
it's
same
just
way?
mental or anything else?
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I feel like I put myself in that position. So me personally in real estate, flipping to me is a hustle. So I would rather flip. So I'm flipping right now to build up cash. And then, I would hold properties free and clear. I thought about doing a mortgage thing, but I'm like, that's not the route I wanted to go.
Be a lender?
No, about like getting mortgages on properties and cash flowing $200-300 a door. But I don't like that scenario either. So I decided that I was willing to hustle for the next 10 years or so like that to put myself in position in the long term. I'm young. If I had a job, I would work 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day like that. So I do it for myself now. Flip, wholesale, different things like that. Then, hold a property here, hold a property there. So that's more the long term. But right now I'm just in like hustle mode.
Yeah. Do you have advice? I mean, because I think all three of us are in a similar position where it's like, yeah, we want the pay today, but we're also cognizant. Yeah, there's got to be the long term. Like, what advice would you give?
For advice for
like where we're thinking right now, because I think you've been in both positions where I think right now you definitely have that more stable, from what I'm hearing, secure mindset.
I think when I hear what you're saying, it long term horizon, it sounds like retirement type something.
Not retirement, but more of like, I think a lot of people, like the quote that was basically said is when you ask someone who's wealthy, like, what are your goals? They're going to tell you their 10-year goals. They're going to tell you your 20-year goals. Whereas like, if you ask me, hey, Alex, what's your goal today? I might tell you next month I want to make.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily retirement or like exit the game, but more of like, how do you make a longer goal vision?
It's funny. I don't like a longer goal vision. Like, it's like I'm in the moment, like every day. Like, and I think that like this is all I have is this moment. Like, I don't have tomorrow. So my
it's
focus
almost like
is
a tricked way of thinking.
Yeah. So my focus is like is today. Like, I have to. I'm more powerful living in the moment. Like so that's where my focus is.
It's kind of freeing to hear. I mean, I think a lot of times I get anxious when I start thinking that way, where it's like, man, what am I be doing in 20 years? But I'm not guaranteed to be here in 20.
Yeah, we may die tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we put all that energy into the future when we can use that energy right now to really take us to the next level. Because I think that's the most powerful thing in the world, like to really be in the moment and understand, like, we don't have time. Like, we got now. Like, what are you going to do now? So that should help people to be more focused in the moment. Like they say, wherever you are, be there. So if you working, you work. Like, don't have an open door policy. Like, had time blocks where it's just work. And what you will realize is, like, you'll get way more done. Like, when I watch sports, and I'm not a sports guy, like, they into sports and watch the game. But when I'm watching, I'm looking at it from a total different view. I break the game down into like one thing. In a football game or basketball game, 2 minutes is a lot of time. Like, they get a lot done in 2 minutes. So just imagine in life, like, if we just say 24 hours, like, if you actually spent just 2 hours a day, focus on whatever your business is, you create a time block with 2 hours a day consistently. You in the zone, like, you ain't answering no phone, no social media, no, just 2 hours a day. And then you compound that over a long period of time.
And that's what makes the difference. Yeah.
That's the difference. Like that, like anybody that's super successful, like, that's what it is. Like, it ain't, I want it. Like, you don't know, coach may take you out the game tomorrow.
No, that's true.
So your attention need to be here. Like, you thinking about that, you may not even make it around the corner.
And then I get smacked in the face today.
Yeah, so like, no, wherever you are, be there. Like, be in the moment, and to maximize, the time. Like wherever you are, be there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate that, because I definitely was thinking a little cockeyed on that one. I had no idea what I was saying. Because now I agree with you, because you're right. The only thing I can control is, like, every day I have it organized, and 2 hours is put to this thing, 2 hours is put to the family, 2 hours is put to that. The long term will fix itself.
Period. It's just like what making money. People come up with all these different things that sound deep, but it's not. To me, it's not deep. It's just, you recycle. If you learn how to recycle your money, you never have to worry about money. So that's basically, okay, you get some money, you recycle it. So most of the money, you just keep reinvesting it. So people are like, okay, what's your plan? When I sell this property or sell that, recycle the money. So I'm not thinking about or worried about money. I'm going to recycle most of my money back into investments and opportunities.
So I got to ask, because you brought it up, what do you think is the real retirement trap? Because, like, personally, I see it with my dad right now. He retired, so he has his money is taken care of. The first thing he did when he retired is fixed his own roof, because the company wouldn't come out quick enough. So, like, what do you think is the trap a lot of people are sold with the traditional retirement?
I never really thought about retirement. I think that the first thing come to mind is, like, I want to do do trees retire? Do they decide like, you know what? When I get 10 feet, I'm just gonna stop.
No more leaves.
Like I'm not gonna stop. Like, but it's like, so nature don't decide that I'm just gonna stop. What if nature decided, you know what? I had enough. Like, wait, I'm done. The trees done. The ocean decide that, you know, we done here. Human beings, like people put certain things in place to keep us stagnant, to have us focus on a retirement date. Like, so we never in the moment. We always thinking about the future,
And then
or the past.
Yeah.
And then we miss all the opportunities right in this moment. We can't even see the opportunities right here because we're thinking about future. Retirement. So you just stop and don't do nothing. Like, I can't even imagine. Like, you're just going, just.
It seems like a trap. I mean, as a guy
Yeah.
seeing it from, son to father, I
Right.
think that he's probably more stressed now than he was even when he was working. I think there's a purpose every day. And now it's one of those, what do you do? Yeah, that's tough. All right, I got some sideball questions here. So I called your daughter today, and the first thing I'm going to ask is, have you ever had any special rock collections in your life?
Wow, that out of all the things that she could have told you, she told you that I had a rock collection. Wow.
So what was the rock collection?
So it was just some rocks in the backyard. I started out using them. It was 9 of them, and I started using them with my exercise routine to keep up with the sets. Okay, 9 sets of push-up, pull-ups, and dips, and I was put the rock right there. When I do the next set, 2, put the rock right there. And so they were like different colors and shades, and then we just kind of formed a relationship,
So it was funny. The reason I asked that, when I was a kid, I used to be obsessed. When we would go to the store, you buy like a 20. It probably wasn't even the real rock, but I'd pay $20, get some green rock and some orange. I started collecting them, and then after a while, I think I was embarrassed by it. And then what was funny is the girl I'm dating right now, she had a rock collection too, and that's why I had to ask you about it, because I was like, I hate to admit it, but I had it.
You know, it's funny. Even with the rock collection stuff, it's like I pay attention to stuff like that where most people, like, you never pay attention to stuff like that. And I think that comes from when I was a kid. It was like I was so on edge because my mom was like, she was on edge. So it was like I was never really able to relax and just like enjoy like being a kid, because my mom was always, you were always like mad about something. So it was like I was on edge. Like every little thing, it was like it was a problem. And so now, like being an adult, like I can be myself. And so I think that's where that comes from. Like, stuff like that, or teddy bear. Like I got a teddy bear in my back seat. So I like stuff like that.
Yeah. The one I got to ask about is, why do you buy the food for the stray cats?
Oh, I love animals.
Yeah.
I love animals. And it's funny. It goes back to when I was saying, like, when I was in the streets, I was playing a role in a movie, because that's not really me. Like me, like I love people. I love animals. Like, I don't like to hurt people and like do things like that. So I love animals. So I love that the cats continue, to come, and we.
Where do you do this? You got to paint the picture for people. So, like, obviously, I asked you buy this food for the stray cats. Like, how often are you doing this?
I feed them every day. They come to my backyard every day. I feed them cat food. I feed them when I go to restaurants, my leftover salmon. I buy them tuna fish from the store. Like, so
the cats are eating better than some people out here.
Yeah, they're my homies. They should. Like, we are here occupying this space together, and I'm in position to help them. Why not? I would want people to help me. So I help people because I want people to help me too. And just imagine a world like that.
If everyone did a little bit of that.
Yeah, where we recycling that. Like,
Do you guys have pets or no?
Yeah, I have a dog. I'm into reptiles and stuff like that too, so I get that from him.
Yeah. What about you?
I got 3 dogs.
And so, because this is something, so I recently got my first dog in October. Do you think it helps humans stay more regimented to have a pet that they have to take care of?
Of course.
Hell yeah.
Of course.
It's like having a kid almost.
Yeah.
Especially if you get a puppy. Like,
yeah. So
routine is everything, and it makes you very disciplined. Because before, it's like you're not respecting time and all this stuff. Like, I think my first dog, I think God sent me that dog on purpose because he made me get real stern with a lot of my bad habits. Just like procrastinating, like you gotta take the dog outside or he go shit on the floor. So you can't, we about to wait until I'm ready to no, get up, you gotta do it now.
He's gonna poop whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so I think dogs help a lot with, like you said, your regiment and just being on top of things.
Yeah, so we got a dog in October, and I wanted to get my first dog, and we went to a shelter. I think it was over in Elyria. And when they have the little breed description, you can't really tell because he was only 7 months old, and it said Lab Retriever. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll take it. He's not a Lab or a Retriever. He's this breed called a Vizsla, which is a European hunting dog. They're bred to take down bears, large deer, and he can run up to 26 miles a day when he's full grown.
Okay.
So right now, I never ran. I was just like, go to the gym, lift, come home, no cardio. I'm now up to like 6 to 8 miles a day just for him to not like chew up the couch.
Nice.
Wow.
And that is a discipline I guess I needed, but I did not expect it to do. It's a lot. What about you? Do you have any pets or no?
No, just my cats.
Those
Those
are
are my
100
pets.
pets.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think your goals are for the year? Because one of the things I like to do with everyone on this podcast is kind of show that, you all didn't start from perfect. You've grown. So if you were ever to check back on this podcast in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, what are some of the goals you have for this year?
My goal for this year is to do more flips to build up more cash. So I fell into one of those phases of, being comfortable with rentals and stuff like that. And it's not really life-changing, like on a small scale. So my goal right now is to flip.
Yeah. What about you?
Same here. Get real cash heavy. So that's just put everything that I'm doing, just put it on autopilot, get it going 100%. 110%, and just stockpile some cash. That's what I'm
And then for you, what's your goal today? Because I think 1 year might be too long.
So I'm actually finishing up a commercial building. So this is my biggest project.
Is this Big Mama that
yeah,
I've
Big
seen?
Mama.
Okay,
Yeah,
who's
Mama.
Big Mama?
Big Mama, my 13-unit apartment building, 13-unit, 10-car garage. Sits on like 3 blocks, like 3 city blocks. So it's the biggest project that I've done, like, paid for it cash, rehabbing it cash with no loans. And I'm about 30 days out from finishing it. So my goal this year is to continue to do projects like that. I'll still do the residential projects, but do more big projects. And I actually got inspired by my mentor that, that's all he does, like big projects, strip malls and different things like that. So being around people, that's one of the best things people could do to grow in life is to be around people that's actually doing the thing that you want to do. Because what happens, it rubs off on you. And so it rubbed off on me. So my goal this year is to do more projects like Big Mama.
Awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys being on, and that's
Thank you.
episode 6.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.